And at least part of the appeal was like, I would describe it like discovering you hadn't listened to a record until you were 25, and then all of a sudden you just go, oh, there's a shots of this stuff. And I've been doing this for just over 100 years. It's just pop music, and you could this entire history to explore. And I was like that. The idea at the age of 25, I discovered a whole new world, and I went in hard. At the same time, whilst it's also a new medium, it's all which I could explore and lose myself in. There was also the sense that this is still being written. By which I mean is you're never going to write Ulysses because the novel is dead.
It's way to be outside. Like,
He cites the pause. As a culturally dominant medium is fundamentally ossified, and comics are not ossified, and that's one of the many things that's exciting about them. And that's kind of also essential.
Is that the name of the next brand? Entropy.
I'm going full Zoolander. Anyway.
Yes, I thought the natural segue was Jessica. You sort of jumped in on Kieron's point, and you were
Okay. I think I'm the last person in on the comics verse. My comic story, in short, it's like alcoholics. I'm Jessica, and I'm a comic.
it's like alcohol.
But I make no apologies. I'm a recovering actress, actually. I always thought that acting was my creative medium for so many years, and now I've realised, woken up to the fact that actors are puppets, and in the world of comic, no, it's truly, comic creation is just that. Comic creators are people who write comics, people who create art for the comics, people who make the writing, the fonts of the comics. It's just, I'm in love with this whole medium, and there are so many genres. I've come in, I didn't realise that I'd sort of touched on a new genre, because to me, the golden age of Hollywood, it's like always been there. Isn't that kind of old news? And no, in the world of comics, it hasn't been explored to half of where it could go. And I just think that, I don't know that the novel is dead, but I think films have certainly reached a kind of a stalemate in certain areas, and yet comics, maybe because it is still a niche place and people have yet to land on the planet, it's still that place that isn't vastly inhabited, yet the vista goes on forever, and we're just a few people in New Zealand. It's I think we shouldn't be keeping it a secret either. I think we should be, as Will was saying, invite everybody into this wonderful world, because it's not, maybe it is rocket science in some stories, but basically it's pictures and it's words and it's language and it's communication, and it's the oldest form of storytelling. So I'm not saying anything revolutionary, I'm just saying that that's my epiphany, and that's why I can see myself spending the rest of my life in comics, because it won't end. And Rachel, can I please, Rachel is one of the most talented women in comics, and there's been this whole furore about and who should be getting awards and who should be named and who shouldn't, but I don't think Rachel Stott's name is up in lights enough. She is you're a killer artist.
I talked about awards, and she got the British Awards.
Yes, you did. But you know, yes. Tell us about what's.
Oh, comics are like nice and stuff. I've always thought as a medium they were strangely magical, because it's like, you know when you read a novel and there's that thing about how it's like...
No one reads novels.
No, that one guy reads that one novel that time, and it's like you were hallucinating vividly, like whilst reading words, and it's like, okay, with a comic book, there's this strange, between the panels, your brain makes up the rest of the story, and so you can just show someone a still image with a sound effect on it, and then another one, and then you've got like a film in your head, fully realised, and I just think the accessibility of it as well. I mean, if you're like some 10-year-old kid in his bedroom, you can make as big a budget, as big a imagination on the page as some guy that sat in like the Marvel offices. So I just think that it's beautiful in that way, and it's so accessible, because I think, I mean, there's a lot of discussion going on about variety and representation in comic books, but literally anyone on the planet can go and make one and share it with everyone. And when you were saying about how like it's becoming like now the medium, it's like it's so easy to get your work out there. There's no excuse for it not doing it. So yeah, I just think there's something really special about comic books that's different to any other artistic medium.
Now, as Jessica was saying, like with Rachel, she has been, has had this meteoric rise, and you've been working on these incredible licensed books. There's, you've got to draw the Star Trek characters, Planet of the Apes characters, Doctor Who, in such a short period of time. That's kind of incredible. And you've got Paul and Kieron, who are both very experienced.
Really silly notes.
Yeah, you got no photos of that moment.
Or a photo of me going.
I've lost the panel. Sorry,
See, now-
I was trying to actually demonstrate the entire point of comics as I was literally making a comic you can actually assemble.
Well, exactly.
Okay.
It's words and pictures. I mean, the
Yeah.
images that we're getting here are telling one
Sorry,
story.
we've just derailed your answer. Please
Yeah,
continue.
Yes.
And that's all right. No, I was just sort of saying that essentially the three of you here next to me have worked on licensed comics and sort of known properties. And then you, Jessica, it's like you haven't sort of been working with licensed properties, but you're working with quantities that people know. People have this idea of who Vivian Lee is and what she looks like and that sort of thing.
Yes.
And so you're dealing with perhaps actual known people in that sense. What do you think that comics can add, or what have you been able to bring through comics to these licensed properties and things that people already know that you couldn't through any other medium?
Well, you've touched on something that very, very soon I'm probably going to have to move out of that area of doing, my favourite movie stars or whatever, because I did notice I had it in my mind that I would love to do a full-length piece about Hedy Lamarr, who was a 1940s movie star who also invented a communication system, which was a prototype for what we have on our iPhones today, and it was her way of combating the Nazis' intelligence at the time. I was thinking, oh my God, I've got it, Hedy versus the Nazis, that's what I got. Then I Googled and I saw that there's some arsehole, sorry, there's this guy, obviously, saw the main child, this guy in the States who's created this kind of legal setup whereby he's basically, I don't know how he's got access to it, but there's a whole load of kind of stars from Groucho Marx to, I don't know, Magic Johnson, whoever, and he's got the rights to likenesses and so on. I'm thinking, oh shit, so, anybody, if I wanted to do Audrey Hepburn, he'll probably say, hey honey, you're going to have to pay me $100,000 before you even draw. So it's funny because what you're saying about this thing...
Lucas?
Actually, George Lucas, somebody was talking about his Young Indiana Jones series, and there's a load of kind of spin-offs with real historical characters. So obviously he's gotten through. I'm not going to let too much stop me, because I think so long as I'm an indie person, no one's going to be bothered by me as a threat to their sort of future wealth. But it's amazing how everybody is kind of seeing, we're living in this world of brands, and actually I'm more and more kind of embracing the fact that even though it could be a long haul for me, I've created my own character, Elsie Harris, quick name, check here for my book, Elsie Harris Picture Palace, is a totally original story set in the world of film in the 1930s and 40s, and there are movie stars and there are directors and creators in it, and they're all from my own imagination. They may or may not bear resemblance to real life characters, but that's conjecture. But I'm thinking, really, essentially, you've got to find your own story, and everybody, even if they're telling a Batman story or a Deadpool or Batgirl, it's their own character given voice through the medium of these kind of bigger archetypes, which I suppose is the other way of saying that's what comic book characters are. They are our modern kind of mythologies. So you can either do it for a big publisher and therefore you don't have to worry about all that kind of legality thing, or create your own mythologies. And actually I'm here to inspire everybody. If you've got ideas for people that you want to do them. We've got enough stuff that's there up and running that people feel safe with, but I think keep pushing and pushing, and don't worry about it won't make money or won't get if it gets an audience of 5 people who really love it, eventually, even if you're dead by the time it happens, but eventually it will kind of ripple out, and the world needs